Hello, and welcome back to Viaduct Generation's SEO video series in collaboration with UK Black Tech. I'm Noemi, the head of marketing at Viaduct Generation, and I'm joined by Fabio, our CEO and co founder. So, today we're covering quite an in demand topic, which is the Google Search Console. So, let's get into it. Got to start with the most obvious question: what is Google Search Console?
So Google Search Console is a free tool o- offered by Google, of course, that helps users measure their sites' traffic, see keyword performance, fix issues, and receive messages from Google themselves about their website. Now, it provides insights on how a website is doing in organic search, as well as ways to make adjustments um, to the site in the Google index. Unlike Google Analytics, Search Console only provides info on traffic that comes from web search, not other segments like direct traffic, traffic from ads, or traffic from site referrals.
So this is a specific SEO tool, unlike we mentioned in our video about Google Analytics, which was a much more kind of global marketing overview, essentially. Here we're
Precisely.
really focusing in on SEO.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then the follow up to that is, where does that sit then within the SEO strategy?
Well, in my opinion, Search Console should really sit at the core of your SEO strategy. Third-party tools are really good; they're great. But Search Console is free, and it gives you a clear understanding of where your site is from an organic perspective.
Sounds great. So especially for people that are just getting into SEO, this is really where you want to start. Would you
Yeah.
be able to give us a demonstration of what this tool looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just quickly share my screen. Overview. There we go. So when you go into your Google Search Console, this is essentially the first screen you will see, okay, which is of course the overview. It just offers you a quick little summary of how your site is performing from an organic perspective. So straight away, of course, the first thing you see is performance, because perhaps it's the most important metric for most site owners. So you can click into it, and you can even look at how your site has been performing over the last 16 months. Okay. So if you were to come in here and let it load, yeah, there we go. So we can see that for these guys, for example, of course, things are going really well. Over the past 16 months, they've nearly had 1 million clicks on their site. Okay. Um, the total amount of impressions is essentially how many times has your site come up in the results pages whenever someone's typed in a term associated to your site. Okay. Um, and then, of course, you can really drill down and see how many clicks you've gotten on a daily basis. Okay. So then, of course, these guys now are sitting at thousands of clicks a day, which is amazing to see. But then on the left-hand side here, okay, you can see from an index perspective, you can see coverage, just in case you can see the amount of errors and issues a site may have. Okay, so you can really see that back in February, the site had a lot of issues, and these issues are now being reduced. Now, when it comes to fixing these issues, I recommend you do them in batches rather than doing them in one go. It does take Google a long time to validate your corrections. It normally takes them up to 28 days, which is quite a long time, of course. And these errors can really have a direct impact into how your site is performing. Okay, so if you have a website right now and you're watching this video and you decide to go and check your coverage and look at how many issues and errors your site currently has, um, you will probably notice that there's a direct correlation, depending on what the errors are, of course, because in this case, we're only looking at some soft 404 issues, which is nothing too serious for us to worry about, because of the small quantity. But normally you will notice a direct correlation on a big number of errors and the amount of traffic coming to your site. Okay. Another thing that's very important as well is looking at the sitemap. Okay, so straight away you can see um, uh, whether you've submitted a sitemap. As for those of you that may not know, sitemap is essentially you're mapping out your site, telling Google and any search engine um, where every single page within your site is and what it is. Okay. Then you can look at page experience. Okay, so from a technical perspective, um, how how good is the experience from both a mobile and desktop perspective? All right, and then finally we can also look at Core Web Vitals, which is one of the latest uh, core algorithm updates by Google, where it essentially just looks at the overall site experience that your site offers for users. All right, there's a bunch of other things. We can go into mobile usability as well. As for those of you that may not know, mobile usability is one of the biggest ranking factors in Google's eyes. Okay, as you can see, for these guys, they're doing really well. They have nothing to worry about from a mobile perspective. Um, but just to wrap it up, before I drill too much into it, Google Search Console, as you can see, really does give you uh, a clear understanding, and it really drills down into how your site is performing from an organic perspective in Google's eyes.
Great. I mean, it's a light overview of the tool. As you can
Yeah.
see, there's loads of metrics on there and things to check out. I guess the next kind of natural question is who should be responsible for monitoring, using, making use of this tool, and how often should they be making use of it?
So just like we spoke about in our Google Analytics series, I would say that those in the marketing and digital marketing departments should certainly be spending a lot of time looking at Google Search Console, because you want to ensure that your site doesn't really have any errors, or that those errors are, like they're cut down as much as possible. Um, at the end of the day, I understand that business owners may not have the time to be spending a lot of time looking at things like Google Analytics and their Search Console, but it gives a clear and straight insight into how your site is performing and why it's performing the way it's performing, right? So one of the things I didn't quite show there, because we were using one of our demo accounts, is that through Google Search Console, within the performance tab, you can look at what keywords are driving traffic to your site. Okay, and not only that, you can also look at what pages are the most popular pages for your site. Okay, so it's it gives you a good and clear understanding on why is it that your site is performing the way it is. Because um, you may ask yourself, you may be selling, you may uh, have available on your site products that are really expensive, for example, that would drive the biggest money revenue, or the biggest revenue to your site, right? However, you may be wondering, why is it that it's not selling as well as it should, or why is it that I don't see any sales coming from this specific page? And you can really go onto your search console, go onto performance, and next to queries, which is your keywords, you'll see pages, and right there you will see what pages are currently driving the highest amount of traffic. And if you're satisfied with the amount of traffic coming from those pages, then it would certainly mean that you need to focus on optimizing the revenue generator, that big revenue generator product and page, that so that you can start ranking as highly as possible and getting that traffic that you're looking for.
Great. So this is obviously an essential tool, especially if you're getting started, one
Yeah.
to really master and look into. So thank you so much for that brief introduction to the Google Search Console. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Viaduct Generation about this. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next video.